It looks like AEW is making some big changes once again off the heels of a fantastic and critically acclaimed AEW Revolution pay-per-view event. It looks like we are getting reports of some changes both that happened at the pay-per-view as well as reports of changes, big ones, on the horizon for AEW. We're going to talk about them. We're going to tell you everything you need to know about the situation. I'm Omer Q for Real Take Wrestling. Be sure to leave that thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell. The whole thing just turned blue when I hit that. Look at that. Look how cool that is. Anyway, let's talk about AEW, guys. So, AEW Revolution, many of you who watched it will know, arguably one of the pay-per-views of the year so far. You had a killer steel cage match between Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, a monumentous match between Kenny Omega, who won the International Championship from Konosuke Takeshita, and a Hollywood ending that all of the fans around the world deserved. And we also had a pretty shitty main event. So, let's talk about that, because there were actually changes that were kind of made to that whole thing. This courtesy of Brian Alvarez of Wrestling Observer Radio. This is what he had to say. I don't know all of the details, but there was apparently some idea for the main event that involved way more people than ended up being out there, including some returns. And at the last minute, it just got axed. I don't know who it was or what they were going to do, but there was a second plan that didn't take place. It was not Shane McMahon, for the love of God. Whatever it was, it involved people that have been there in the past. I'm 99% sure that no matter what was planned before or after, Moxley was always retaining, and he was always going to go on. He was always going on to face Swerve at the next pay-per-view. So we learned a little bit there that there were actually supposed to be some returns for AEW Revolution that did not end up taking place. He made a point there to say that, oh, okay, it's not going to be Shane, and Shane wouldn't exactly be a return, it would be a debut. But this does tell you that things were a little bit in flux that night, and this is something we've kind of heard recently. Like, a lot of things in AEW have kind of been more fluid than they used to be. And I do think it is part of the reason why they're having a lot of success recently as far as ticket sales for their big shows and just a resurgence in the quality of the show and the perception from fans. I think for a while there, they kind of became very rigid in the way they did things. Arguably, it was a detriment to the company because they were leaning into tropes and things that their fan base and much of the audience did not want to watch AEW for, right? They're not watching AEW for the sports entertainment aspect of it. You're watching AEW for wrestling storytelling. And I think that getting away from that really hurt the company over the past couple of years. They have done a lot, especially in 2025, to completely get back to their roots and be arguably one of the best wrestling companies in the entire world. But in reality, I think there's going to be some success in the fluidity that they are showing now. Like, you need to be able to adapt. Now, the big criticism here is they didn't adapt in the way that they needed to. Because if you wanted to adapt all the way, if you wanted to make a big change, you probably should have had Moxley lose the belt. Now, I do believe that Jon Moxley is going to end up losing the AEW World Championship at Dynasty. I don't believe that Swerve is going to leave that without the belt. But I also think that one of the things that people have been asking from AEW is for things to be a lot more fan-friendly. And I don't mean that, you need to give the fans like everything they want all at once. No, but the fans have obviously been crapping all over the Jon Moxley thing. No one wants to see him as the world champion right now. The storyline is going nowhere. No one likes it. And it's been evident and apparent for months now, yet they have refused to go in a different direction. And if they were going to make a change, you could have argued that the change they needed to make was to not have this main event. Toni Storm versus Mariah May was right there, arguably one of the best women's matches of all time, and they did not move forward with that main eventing, despite the criticism that has been levied against them by myself and others that AEW, time after time, has missed multiple opportunities to put women's main events on pay-per-views and instead have gone with a more lackluster and underwhelming men's main event. So there's definitely criticism there for AEW. But speaking of titles, there are actually some major changes that are coming to AEW as far as titles in that company go. Let's take a look, courtesy of FightfulSelect.com. You guys can read the full excerpt in the description below. AEW sources that Fightful has spoken to claim that the combination has been pitched dating back a number of months. This is in reference to actually consolidating and combining titles in the company, a criticism for the company for a while. Goes on to say, to the point that many in the company had considered them firm creative plans. We've not heard specifically who would be carrying that torch or if titles would form something collectively or be carried together or rebranded as unified titles. So despite all of the criticisms over the past years, AEW has been very reluctant in consolidating these championships. At one point, they had the International, the FTW, World, Women's World, TBS, TNT, Tag Team, Trios titles. That's a 7, 8 right there. And you add the ROH titles in there. It's a mess. That's way too many titles for that program. Been a monumental, I think, detriment to both their talent and their fans, but it looks like that there is hope and light at the end of the tunnel. We know that one of the big matches that has been rumored as well as teased by AEW extremely overtly has been Omega Okada, the next chapter. And right now, as things stand, Okada reigns as the Continental Champion. Kenny Omega reigns as the International Champion. And if these two are headed for All In Texas at Globe Life Field, if these two are headed to a match, it would make all the sense in the world for them to make the change and have these titles combined. I don't think you have a need for the Continental Championship. I think, in fact, if you were to combine them, create an Intercontinental Championship, or even just say the Unified International Championship, whatever, I think it would make the Continental Classic better because it would make the title more prestigious. It would make the title and that picture a little bit more crowded because you would have more challengers that are at a higher level. Right now, you got like 6 different title divisions and, you can only highlight so many people and eventually, titles aren't on TV, titles feel less important. But if you have 5 titles that you focus on a TV show, especially AEW, given the fact that you get 2 hours on Wednesday, 2 hours on Saturday, I think a more focused title picture is necessary for that show. So hopefully that's the direction they're going in. Please get rid of the ROH Trios titles while you're at it. There's no need for them. And get the Trios titles for AEW, at least, off of the Death Riders. Please, thank you, Tony Khan. Guys, let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this. Who do you want to see win the combined Intercontinental, shout out Andrew Zarian, championship? Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, what other titles do you want to see consolidated? Let me know in the comment section below. And also let me know what other changes you want to see out of AEW. Do you want to see the Chandelier return full-time to Dynamite? Please, Tony Khan, do that. Anyway, guys, be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.